be open you a new video and a new story. But before starting, don't forget to pray for the Prophet Muhammad. May God bless him and grant him peace. So let's begin. In one of American states full of forests, there was a girl who worked in delivering orders to homes. This girl was called Maria. One winter night, an order came to the restaurant where Maria worked. Unfortunately, there was no other delivery worker. At the time, all of her colleagues went out to deliver orders to customers. Maria had to deliver this order, which was half an hour away from the restaurant by car. She actually took a delivery car, but on her way the car broke down and stopped completely. Maria tried to communicate with one of her colleagues, but due to the bad weather, she was unable to contact any of them. Maria decided that it would be better to walk back to the restaurant than to remain in this dark and cold place. The trees in the forest on both sides of the road increased the terror in Maria's heart. From afar, Maria saw a light coming from the forest and knew it was a house. So she decided to enter the forest and go to him to ask for help. Maria arrived at the house in the middle of the forest, but she found it to be an abandoned house, and there were no signs of anyone in the place. However, Maria decided to stay at the place for one night so that she could find her way back home in the morning. When she got inside the house, she wasn't sure that trying to stay in this place was the best option. The rooms were creepy and stuffy, and the floor was covered in dust and strange things. But when Maria sat on the sofa in the living room, she felt relatively comfortable. She was very tired from walking for a long time and felt hungry. So she ate some of the pizza she was delivering to a customer, then decided to sleep. While Maria was preparing for bed, she felt that someone was watching her, and her feeling turned to horror when she heard a frightening sound coming from the bedroom. Maria decided to go check it out, but when she entered the room, she didn't find anyone. The room was completely empty and there was nothing there except a clean and comfortable bed, unlike the rest of the house. As soon as Maria began to relax on the bed, she heard a voice asking her if she liked the house and would she like to live there. Maria felt very terrified. She got up from the bed and kept looking everywhere around her for the owner of the voice, but she did not find anyone. Suddenly, a large black man appeared behind her. His eyes were red, and he grabbed her from behind and told her that he was tired of living alone and wanted her to live with him in his house. Maria tried to escape, but she could not, and because of her intense resistance, the terrifying man tied her to the bed. Maria was begging him to leave her, but he strongly refused and told her that he was tired of being alone and wanted her to live with him. Maria had to go along with him, and he offered her food and drink, but she was still tied up. The man decided to untie Maria so that she could enter the bathroom, and she took advantage of the opportunity and tried to escape. The most terrifying thing that happened to her was that his person appeared to her out of nowhere, suddenly in front of her. Every time she took a bath, she found him until she found 3 copies of him at once. Maria discovered that the man was not human but a jinn. Maria loses consciousness. After a while, Maria woke up to find that everything she had been through was just a dream, and that she had not gone to work that day because of the bad weather, and that she had fallen asleep watching a horror movie. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. The second story is a short fictional horror story. In one of Egyptian villages, there was a man named Walid. This man was one of the strongest and most famous young men in the village. This man worked in agriculture and went to his field every day in the early morning and returned to his home in the afternoon. Then he returned to his field again after the afternoon and returned from it after sunset. One night, Walid fell asleep because he was exhausted at work, and he saw in his dream a very beautiful girl who proposed to him. Walid was surprised by her offer, but he agreed to it and married her. Walid used to see this girl in his dreams at frequent intervals, and one night she told him that she wanted him to go with her to her family and live with her. And when he asked her to understand more, she told him that she was a jinn and wanted to take him with her to her world. Walid vehemently refused and woke up from his dream, terrified by what he heard. He thought she was just a girl in his dreams and did not expect that she was a jinn. The girl kept visiting him in the dream and urging him to come live with her in her world, but Walid rejected her. The last time she threatened Walid that she would take him with her against his will. One day, Walid was returning from his field after sunset, and he heard the voice of a girl crying for help coming from the canal next to the fields. Walid rushed to save the girl, and he actually found there a girl wearing black, like most girls in the village, struggling to drown in the canal. Walid rushed to try to save the girl, but suddenly the girl in the water turned into the girl he saw in his dreams. Walid tried to stop her from holding on to him and trying to drown him, but to no avail. Had one of the farmers not seen him, pulled him out of the water and taken him quickly to the hospital, Walid would have died in his accident. After his recovery, Walid told his father and family the story of the girl, and they took him to the Imam of the mosque, who telegraphed him with the Holy Quran and fortified him. After a while, Walid was able to return to his normal life on the condition that he maintain his prayers, rituals, and remembrances. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. The third story, entitled Voices in the Night. A group of soldiers were standing guard at a mysterious location deep in the forest. As night fell and darkness spread everywhere, the soldiers gathered around the campfire to keep warm, pass the time, and have a little chat. There were 3 soldiers on guard duty at the time, including a soldier named John. Suddenly, Private John appeared out of nowhere, painting and starting into the darkness, looking around him in a striking way, as if he was afraid of something. His fear was noticed by these colleges, so they asked him what was happening to him. He told them that he heard a girl's voice calling his name. He felt her breath and saw her shadow moving in the darkness, but he was unable to leave his guard at first until she called him repeatedly. and he felt someone's hand messing with his hair, which was impossible because he was wearing his own helmet and had never taken it off his head. Everyone thought it was just a fantasy because of the loneliness and darkness that surrounded them, or that John was messing with them and playing some silly prank. And then the leader gasped him about what he was saying and threatened him with punishment if he was mocking them, but he remained insisting on the truth of his story. And while they were chatting, they heard a frightening and terrifying voice and the sounds of feet. Something moves in the dark and approaches them. The soldiers took their weapons lying next to them and expressed their readiness for anything to attack them at any moment. But nothing happened. Suddenly someone shouted where John went. He was standing right next to me. The night turned into a nightmare as Soldier John disappeared into the darkness and the girl whose voice he was hearing disappeared, and the voice they were hearing turned into a frightening and continuous scream. There was something that suddenly appeared and attacked the soldiers, causing them some injuries and destroying their weapons. The soldiers were able to send a distress message, and in the morning the support team arrived and the soldiers were rescued. But they found the body of Private John hugging a small plate that contained a picture of a young girl. The girl was the daughter of a fisherman who was killed by a soldier in the same area, and Private John was the soldier who killed her. Since then the girl's spirit has been wandering around that area, chasing the soldiers guarding that site, killing them and harming them, as she did with Soldier John, and it seems that she is determined to chase them until she takes revenge on them all. Today's story are over. I hope they terrified you. And pray for the Prophet Muhammad. May God bless him and grant him peace. And may God's peace, mercy and blessings be upon you. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video and share your opinions in the comments. May God's peace, mercy and blessings be upon you. May you always be well.